Happy Tuesday, everybody. Here we are on the other side of a nice long weekend. My name is Araya Anra, coming to you live and for the love of dragons, as I do every week. And I am just in the most beautiful space right now, so I'm going to share something that came up. You know, I never know what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I get questions and have this knowing, and I am in the process right now today. I just finished the 44th entry, the final card for the Oracle deck that's in creation. So I've got the artwork, now I've got all the text, at least in its first draft. I'm going to have some dragons go through it with me and see if it feels aligned to them and do the small copy edits and all that. But I'm really excited because now that's actually flowing out. And the beauty of it is that I started this process a year ago. You may remember my goal was to have it done by about May. And the universe and my guides and dragons had other plans because of the energies that were aligning. So knowing that we've had this amazing process and all the planetary alignments of 2020, all the things that were unfolding and the deconstruction and the pulling apart of the realm and the world as we know it, and now moving into this. So when I got all the artwork done, it wasn't until August, and then I thought, okay, now I can pull the cards through, and it just wasn't coming. And I think I'm meant to share this because this is something for you guys to hold on to as you know, there's a difference between procrastination and knowing when the timing is right and following your heart into doing something. And everything we're moving towards is letting everything be led by the heart. Everything heart-based as to what you want to do in that moment, what's meant to be done in that moment, what feels right to be done in that moment. And so I kept wanting to push an agenda or wanting to say, I want the cards to be done. I want it to come out. I've got people excited about them. And I finally realized when there was never time for it, I would set aside a day and then everything else would take over that day. And it was as if my guides were piling on things that would keep me away from doing it. And so as I went forward, I finally realized into the first week of January, all of a sudden I was getting this inspiration. And I was feeling drawn, like magnetically drawn to the deck, because it's interesting to feel what's out in front of us and know that we're creating it, but at the same time, there's pieces in play that our soul has already deemed we're going forward to. We're diving towards and going towards in our highest path. And so there's a part of me that already recognizes and knows that the deck is already created. It's already there. And I have to meet it. I have to energetically align to it and know, all right, now I can pull that information through and put it into the physical, because my higher self had already created it quite a while back when my original intention felt this burgeoning deck that needs to be created, right? So knowing that my higher self is already complete in a timeline outside of this, which is a higher, I don't even want to call it a timeline, that's not accurate because we're moving out of timelines, a higher octave where myself has created it and it's there and I have to tap into it and bring it through. And I finally realized that the alignment of January 1st and 2nd, moving into this whole next 2 years or so of reconstruction and a whole new framework of energy and the fifth dimensional field that is out in front of us, and that we're actually starting to tap into and be within for hours or moments or days at a time, that is the energy that had to be pulled through. It had to be actually written when I'm in that space, when that was so available and when all the energies were realigned. Because if I'd done it last year, so this is coming because some of you are listening that had similar projects on your plate over 2020 that sort of got pushed back, and now you're starting to get those inklings of, oh, maybe it's time, and I'm going to bring that back forward. I'm going to take it off the pot burner in the back, or the back burner, and bring it forward. And this is why, because the energies of 2020 were about deconstruction. They were about breaking apart the mold, breaking apart the patterns that we had, and really aligning to the new and allowing the foundation of the fifth dimensional new earth to actually be put in place for all that framework to start unfolding. And that's the energy we're in. That's what a lot of the activations that I did with the dragons last year were about. And so now recognizing it, so it's so exciting to finally feel and still not be in a place where you don't set aside a whole day to do something. If that works, great. If that's what comes out and then it takes a whole day and you're there in it for a whole day, inspired, excited. What I found was, for me, that a couple of the cards would want to speak at a time. A couple of the dragons were ready to bring that purity of message and energy in a very succinct way, very clearly through. And maybe I think the most I ever did at a time was 6, where I would sit with it for an hour or so, and usually when I'd finally sit down to it, 1 or 2 would come very quickly and smoothly, and I would just be writing, and then I know, like, okay, it's actually complete for today. Sometimes there were 4. So I finally got through all 44, and the last one I just finished today, and I thought it was interesting, the one that I ended on, and the message that was written about it, because this is what I want to share about today. This is actually the power of the dragons, and when we look at so many of you, and you know what I'm excited about too? I just literally, before I came on, went into the group and saw that there were 7 new member requests. I just approved 7 new members. That's a lot in a single go. That's amazing to me that we continuously are growing. Why? The energy of the dragons is really pumping up. It's really stepping forward to help everybody on their journey, because the time is now. Crunch time isn't a great word, but we are literally at the end of a phase and have to move forward, and so many dragons are stepping forward. That to me is beyond exciting, and that people are starting to connect. Every single one of them answered the questions coming into the group with, I don't know what it is, I love dragons, I feel like my guides are pushing me here, and I want to learn more, I want to know what to do with them. And that's the truth of it. That's what they're here for. And we're having amazing discussions in the book club this round. I always highly recommend that as a way to get in, get your feet wet. I'll be doing another one in April. And it's hands down the best way to start into that energy with a group setting that's really a powerful movement forward. But what I came through with in the final card that came through was sitting with the energy of this 9th dimensional octave dragon that is holding an essence of power and an inner knowing that is this unshakable, it's beyond faith, it's a knowing of what lies ahead, a knowing of yourself, of Mother, Father, God, of a real clarity within that makes any doubt, fear, wall that will hold you back really. I don't know why the word irresolute is coming. I accept the words that they send, but inconsequential may be a better word, where when you step into and hold this energy of knowing, and this, I'm bringing this up because this is where we're going. This is literally what the dragons are holding and why we're so drawn to them. Why we look at them and we're just in awe. And this, the carnelian dragon, wasn't the card I was doing, but this was on my wall and speaking to be part of the energy today, partly because he's sitting in that majestic pose, and I've got fire dragon energy all around me today because we're doing fire dragons in the Dragon Heart program later today, and it just felt right that if you look at that carnelian dragon and you hold it, you can just see everything in his countenance, everything in a dragon's countenance when you're there with him. They have, even if they're being playful, even if they are laughing and jolly, there's something about them that holds this line of energy that is this power stance, that it's not about dominion and might or controlling or ruling over, that we're drawn to the dragon's power because it's that pure power from the heart space that is an absolute knowing of the perfection of the universe, of the perfection of God's creations, of that connection to Mother, Father, God, that just lights them up from within. That whole massive dragon heart just bellows out, and we feel it when we're in their presence, and that's why we're so embraced by them, where we're so drawn, especially when they come near us, that I want more of that. I want to return to that within myself. I know that this lower plane of existence, this lower plane of frequency and experience has taken us away from that knowing. It's taken us away from alignment into not only knowing ourselves, but truly knowing Mother, Father, God, of truly knowing the species and the beings that are in a high octave that hold that frequency of love and might and everything with wisdom and power merged into the heart space. It is magnificent to behold. And we're working here in this very small way, trying to even get past doubts and fears towards the space of faith. And faith is even smaller than what these dragons hold. Is like knowing is beyond faith. Faith is something where we put ourselves in a kind of surrender to something bigger than ourselves, that we have faith in God, we have faith in our guides, we have faith in something, that there's something bigger than me that is leading me forward, and still there's doubts arise, and still there's questions arise, and there's, you know, not knowing perfect direction or what's really out ahead. And so we have faith that when we get to a certain point in our journey, we get to this place where we know there's something ahead. We know we're being guided forward. And we trust it. I would say faith and trust are very similar in that it's an energy that we just, okay, I can keep going because I have this faith. I know that something's pulling me forward. It's beautiful. It's loving. It feels right. And everything's aligning me towards that. It's synchronicities, and that's what our guides do. And yet the dragons, what they're holding for us and why their presence is so beautiful, not just about the incredible way they heal. They come in and they move, hello Janine, they move through us, and they have an ability to move through and clear stuff out very rapidly, especially the elemental and black and white dragons that are very frequency-wise the closest to our realm, because they can move through and help us do that. And the higher and higher octaves dragons keep doing that on higher levels for us. Alright, sorry about that. I've been having internet connection issues all weekend. The guy's coming out this afternoon, so I almost canceled live, but I was like, no, I want to talk about this. So I apologize if there was a little thread there that was missing me. That knowing, that perfection of something beyond faith, beyond trust, I absolutely know. And once you have that within you, I will tell you that when you merge with your dragon and your own aspect of knowing, there is something within that. It's a game changer for where we're at. It's a game changer with looking at the world and really seeing it from that higher octave perspective, where you can see how and why things are unfolding. You can see the game, you can see it for what it is, and it shifts everything forward. So this is the gift of the dragons, and this is what I wanted to bring forward, and why we look at them, to understand their might. It's not about power. It's not about something that they go, there's been a misinterpretation of that in our own fears and doubts and separation that has led us, for years. The dragons went away because we hunted them. We were afraid of them. We were afraid of that knowing because we lost it within ourselves. And now they're holding that space with massive wings held out to embrace us of that space of knowing. That's what they're guiding us forward to. And I think that's the most beautiful piece to recognize about your guides, about all the dragons that are available to work with you. And I had a great question that I'm going to share in here because it ties in. I'm just going to read it. It was in a message I got this last week. It says, is there anything at all you can share with me about my dragons, with my guide? Is there something I will continually experience? So as part of that question and that answer is that you will always experience this with your dragon guides. That aspect of their space of energy around them that is absolutely all-knowing, in the sense of not arrogant, they know everything, but that might of power through the heart that is a direct connection to the energy of Mother, Father, God, that just absolutely holds a space that is both wielding and precious, and yet will not give in. If you think about the dragons that have stood vigil for eons for this earth experiment, it's amazing how patient and long-lasting they are to just hold that vigil, hold that space. And that's what's going to be consistent for your guides with you, is that you will always experience their massive amounts of unconditional love, their massive amounts of that innate knowing. That's power. That to me is the true element of power that is in this 9th dimensional octave that came through in the Oracle deck with one of the Pleiadian dragons. That's the real essence of power. It's not about an ability to create. It's not about an ability to manipulate or control or have dominion over. It's not about being able to be pushy or have their will push a force forward that demands their way be done. It's just about this presence, this knowing. That's the essence of their power. And the other piece that you can always expect with your guides is that they'll never give up on you. They will be there waiting for you, just like God is, every day until you're ready to turn to them. And they are going to be always aligning to your highest and best interest. And they will be utterly supportive when you are being led through those dark valleys within the self, because we have those. I spent years working through the shadows, years working through my own valleys, and there's still some there. None of us are fully there yet, but we're getting very, very close. And so allowing that to be a knowing within you of a letting go, a move into trust and faith that then will allow you to move into something well beyond that. And your guides will never drop the ball. That's something you can always expect about your guides. If they've started showing up for you and you're not familiar with them, you don't know how to work with them, you don't know how to connect to them or hear them yet, they are ever patient, and they will be there when you can get to it, or when you can actually find a way to communicate. And I think that's the one thing that you need to always be consistent with in learning how to communicate with them. That's something else you can expect with them, is they will find a way to communicate with you, whether it's through the clouds, whether it's through images or books or messages from other people, things that you're watching, things that come across your plate. Or they will just keep tapping you on the shoulder somewhere in your body where you can finally start feeling them. Maybe you get a shiver, maybe you get a heat wave, maybe you get a feeling of a presence on one shoulder or the other. They will find a way to communicate with you. And I will tell you that they will never ever give up. They are there, they're your guides, they're with you for a reason. And until you actually are willing to take the blinders off, they're going to sit patiently, because they have that presence and that knowing that you are going to get there. And it's just a matter of time in our world, which operates differently for them. So hopefully that was a little tidbit of insight for you about the dragons, about your own guides, about what is beyond faith, and what will move you into this unshakable aspect of your own self. That when you really, I feel like that's a really big part of the fifth dimensional realm that we're stepping into, is when you get to this place of absolute knowing, the whole game changes. You literally start seeing things for what they are, because there's this veil lifted up that you can see beyond, and you have absolute knowing of what's playing out, how it's going, your place within it, what you need to be doing next, what feels right in your heart. And it's that knowing that allows you to step into alignment with your heart. And if you are a dragon and you're merging it, opening to your own dragon heart, then that, once it's anchored, becomes this massive light that, like these dragons, I love this carnelian dragon, like those dragons are shining a massive light for this planet. And that's when we have massive amounts of beacons. That's what my work has been. For those of you that don't know about the Dragon Heart program, that's the whole basis or reason for it, is to have even small groups of people, because I never take more than 9 a year. But those beings that are ready to merge into their full dragon self, to take that process over 8 months and have that be completed, because they become then more than just a light worker. They're more than just a single candle. They become a massive towering lighthouse, because they step into that brilliance of knowing within that is really the game changer for so many people. You don't have to talk to your neighbors. Ideally you are, because we're moving in community. But even if you never say a word to someone within several blocks of you or at the grocery store, your presence when you're in that space starts shifting the dimensional overlays around you. And that in itself is what's helping pull away the veils, pull away the overlays that are separating us from that next dimensional octave that we're moving into. And all of this moving forward, there's so much out ahead of us. I have to tell you, this is amazing. I watch a lot of videos and get a lot of insight and research from different people in different sectors of society that are watching the world game playing out. And one video, the final share on it was a photograph that this man's wife had taken from the top of a mountain in Indonesia. And they literally watched 2 suns rise. Now this is pretty exciting, because this means we're really moving into the physical of it. That there was in the sky, and it was not a Photoshop thing, it was the raw photo, and there were literally 2 suns. There was a sun up, partway up the horizon that had already risen, and he described that as the 5th dimensional sun in the higher octave New Earth. And then this, that one was like a white, brilliant white sun. The one that was coming up over the horizon was the 3D sun that was, as we know it, is this golden glow, sort of a little bit orange pinky coming up with sunrise, that was just cresting and starting to come up. And he was able to capture that or his wife was, and literally show these two separate suns rising, the fifth dimensional and the third dimensional, because we are in overlaid realms. And so as that merge happens, we're going to start to see both realms. And I know I've had experiences where I've seen beings that aren't in physical body, around the space, things up in the sky. So start paying attention, because we are moving forward, and this is getting super, super exciting. That photo to me was beyond words of confirmation and beauty that we're moving to. Woo! So lots and lots of stuff tumbling out of my mouth. I hope it came through coherently. I hope it hit you in a heart space and will lead you into a deeper connection with your dragon guides and any of the dragons that want to come and work with you. If you don't know how to do that, if you're wanting or have questions on your journey, send them to me. This weekly live is a great place for me to answer them, because it benefits many people, because several hundred people or more will watch the replay in the places that I post it. And those questions are never done. There's never a stupid question. There is always something that somebody else is also struggling with. So send them in, because this is the way to get your journey going. And if you need help, I do 20-minute discovery calls. I do 20-minute dragon readings. I do full 75-minute sessions. I've got the book club. There's guided meditations. There's the Dragon Within book club, or excuse me, the Dragon Within. The book itself is a great tool to start with as a guidebook. And then any dragon objects. If you're a dragon lover and want to have dragons around your house, there's over 150 of them on the Lair site, dragonwithin.com/lair, L-A-I-R, or go to dragonwithin.com and just find the tab. Takes you to the storefront where there's amazing, amazing things. This one is one of the symbol pendants. This is the fire dragon. There's a whole set of 13, and they carry the energy of those dragons that are in the book through the elementals: the black, the white, the crystal, the gold, the silver, the copper, and even the Syrian dragons. So there's a whole set of 13 that you can buy one, or you can buy the whole set. You can buy 3, you can buy 4. There's a whole layout, because it's nice to have these around you when you're wanting to really bring that energy in. So blessings to all of you. I'll see you next Tuesday. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, give it some thumbs up and share it with somebody who needs to hear it. All right. Much love to you guys. Love my dragon family. I'm really grateful that you guys are here. We'll see you next week. Bye.